Good morning, good morning, good morning, B. How's it going?
Good morning. It's going good. Going good. How are you?
Hmm, I'm okay.
You okay? Did you catch up on some rest?
Man, I slept. I kind of think I feel like I'm coming down with something.
Mm,
But yeah, as you know, I slept yesterday away.
yeah.
Um, so I think I feel like I'm coming down with something. So I need to
Get some
jump
more.
on it.
Yeah. Yeah. Get some more sleep. I kind of feel a similar way. Like I felt like I had a late night as far as sleep and eating. I was hungry in the middle of the night, but I think it's because I've been working out a
Hmm.
lot and doing a lot of physical work.
Hmm.
So I was hungry and I fell asleep eating.
Oh, wow.
So I know I
I
was
didn't eat anything yesterday. I just slept.
tired.
I'm telling you, I slept so many hours. Till I don't even know if it doesn't feel humanly possible to sleep that much, but I did. And I literally could have stayed in bed this morning, but it is what it is.
You should have let me know. I wouldn't have had you out there. I got a picture of you sleeping in the truck, right?
No.
Yeah, I meant to show you. But welcome everybody. I had to drop that little bomb on mom. She was so tired yesterday, and she was waiting in a truck. And man, I pulled up. She was knocked out. I beat the horn. She was knocked out. I said, "Let me take a picture of her." I meant to send it to her, but never got the chance. So I figured I'd drop it on the show. I might send it to you. Might send it to you in the middle of the show just to show it to you, get your reaction. But I hope you get some rest, mom. I need some myself. I'm sore. Feet, my ankle is still a little sprained, and then after working on it yesterday, I'm still feeling it. But you know what? I'll be all right. I'll be all
Yeah.
right.
Same here. Same
So,
here.
yeah, it's all good. But welcome everybody to the 129th day of the In This Season podcast. Every morning we're here at 7 a.m. You guys even get to see us catch up a little bit about some personal stuff and what's really going on in our lives and how we feel and how we're taking life day by day. So we know that we're all human and that you're doing the same thing. So we come here to figure it all out. And one way that we're doing that is by reading Daily Motivations for African American Success by Dennis Kimbro. This is the book of choice that we're reviewing and going through and reading the passages and offering insights and having conversations about. The Daily Motivations for African American Success will help you focus on the thoughts, attitudes, and deeds that will lead to the achievement of your true goals. In 365 short, powerful motivations, one for each day of the year, Dennis Kimbro, author of the popular Think and Grow Rich, A Black Choice, leads us to discover how to use the present moment and our own gifts to transcend labels, cultivate a positive attitude, become wise enough to know when to say yes and when to say no, and to look inward for answers to life's challenges. So each motivation begins with words of wisdom from such distinguished and celebrated African Americans as Malcolm X, Marion Wright Elderman, Whoopi Goldberg, Charlene Hunter Galt, Bill Cosby, Carl Rowan, Mother Hale, Reverend Leon Sullivan, and hundreds of others. This treasure trove of practical inspiration will give you fresh encouragement every day of the year. What it teaches will last you a lifetime. So that's a little bit about the book. So every single day there's a new passage that we read, offer you our insights. So if you've been here with us from the beginning, from the middle, or just now, thank you for being here. And we'll jump right into it, Mom. Who we got in the chat?
Miss Brenda Davis says, good everything, everyone. I love it. And then KL says, good morning, y'all. And Big Mike says, good morning, everyone. Um, Brandon AJ, I didn't know that AJ was a listener. You're AJ. He sent a message and say, did I miss day 128? And I guess I don't know. So
Which AJ? The
AJ, Usher, AJ.
Oh, well, actually, yeah, AJ Alexander. Yeah, man, that's the guy.
Yeah, I guess
Yeah.
he's been listening to us.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, yeah,
Man, that's cool. I'm
yeah.
glad. What up, AJ? If you out there, man, and if you watch it every day, man, that's awesome. I didn't know that. I appreciate you. Appreciate you.
Yeah.
AJ is a powerful dude, y'all. He's the guy that discovered Usher and other people and his talent talent, has an eye for talent, and has developed talent to an extraordinary level. I mean, from finding a young kid, I think in Atlanta, from Chattanooga, being Usher, and taking him from scratch. He kept on scratching, as they say. You know, if you want to be successful, start from scratch and keep scratching. He scratched for 20, 30 years, and Usher went to the Super Bowl. So kudos to Ush, Miss Janetta Patton, J Lack, his brother, Janetta, his mom, and AJ for putting all that together, man. It's a big thing. Glad he's watching. Yep. Anybody else though in the chat? We got everybody.
Um, so KL says Usher was in a group called New Beginnings in Valdosta.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And
Hmm.
KL used to kind of dip and dab in that industry a little bit
Okay.
too.
Okay.
So yeah, I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah, man. The South is smaller than we. It's always it's a big city but a small town. Everywhere you
Yeah.
go in the South, everybody kind of knows everybody. But that's pretty cool. But mom, anything else? You got your coffees. I just got water this morning. I feel like I'm on coffee though. But I know as soon as the show is over, I'm probably gonna Saturday too. I think I'm gonna take a little bit more of a sleep if the kids will let me.
Cool.
What about you? What do you got planned today, mom?
I have to work today. I have to get
Okay.
out. I'm in the
Yeah, to
field
get out.
today.
Okay.
Hmm.
If you need anything, let me know. And you want to jump right into it?
Let's jump right into it.
Jump right into it. All right. So today is June 8th. June 8th title is Little Bitsy Things. Little Bitsy Things. And our quote from a distinguished African American is from John Singleton, the movie producer and director. You guys think about poetic justice with Tupac and Janet Jackson. That was John Singleton. Hell, it's not just slavery. It's being harassed. He said, hell, it's not just slavery. It's being harassed by the police and the racial slurs. It's a whole bunch of little things. He said, hell, it's not just slavery. It's being harassed by the police and the racial slurs. It's a whole bunch of little things. And the passage goes as follows. A giant sequoia lies rotting on the western slopes of the Rocky Mountains. Giant sequoia tree, y'all. A giant sequoia tree lies rotting on the western slopes of the Rocky Mountains. It was a growing sapling when the master walked the shores of the Galilee. It was reaching full maturity when Columbus sailed the ocean blue. It looked down from lofty heights during the Civil War. The giant redwood withstood the ravages of fires, floods, storms, and droughts. It seemed destined to live many more centuries. Then, a few years ago, a tiny beetle started to burrow into its bark and lay the eggs that would produce other beetles. The few insects multiplied into hundreds, then thousands, and finally into millions. They attacked the bark, then worked um, deeper and deeper into the trunk, and finally ate the very heart and core of that mighty tree. Then, one day, after withstanding the elements for centuries, the rains came, the winds blew, lightning flashed, and the giant sequoia fell. Not because of the elements, and not because of its age. It fell because of the weakening effect of those tiny beetles, those little bitsy things. Racism is analogous to this process. To be African American implies that for centuries we have felt the brunt of discrimination and injustice. Perhaps as we seek employment, or housing, or an education for our children, or even as we browse through certain stores, we are treated like common criminals. It's nothing earth shattering, just those little bitsy things. Black America, stand tall. Stand rooted in the truth that we were kings and queens in Africa longer than we were slaves in America. Don't allow someone else's negative attitude and poor self image to steal our dreams. And the affirmation that we read 3 times, one for me, one for you, and one for the people that you're going to invite to the next show, the next cookout, as we call it, the next conversation, is today I won't get mad or even. I'll keep my head up and get better. Today I won't get mad or even. I'll keep my head up and get better. And last time, today I won't get mad or even. I'll keep my head up and get better. Mom, what you got for that one? What do you think about this passage? Little bitsy things.
Hmm. It says they attached the bark, then worked deeper and deeper into the trunk, and finally ate the very heart and core of that mighty tree. So, you guys, if it makes me think of don't sweat the small stuff, and I know we may say it's not small stuff being targeted. You know, always having to feel like you have to fight, right? But I believe it comes to a point where you have to, just like it will eat, those things will eat at your very heart. Then if you change your thought process to a more positive aspect of knowing who you are, then those things don't eat at your heart. They build your heart. So it's your focus. Do we focus on, and I'm not saying we don't fight. Like we actually, I think we need to do more fighting about the little bitty things, right? But not focus on them where it we internalize it and base have that determine our value, right? So I feel like we need to fight more about those. Like somebody should have before it got into the very heart and core of the mighty tree, someone could have tended to that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Someone could have did something about it. And so I do feel like we need to do more about some things. We get on the bandwagon when the bandwagon comes by. And as soon as it passes, we get off of it and we go back to life as normal, as usual, right? So we don't have the fight that I believe they had in back in the day. And it is the little things. And even just as a I remember the other day while I was at Walmart and at KFC with Mike a couple of weeks ago. And this is little, but still. So the Annie's hot dog place or whatever that is, the pretzel place.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't know that they were in Walmart, and I was there looking for some retail, and I like them, so I got an order of them, and I wanted some sauce, and they wanted to charge me $1.08 for a little thing of sauce, and I'm like, I could go. I told the guy I can go back here in Walmart and buy that and have a whole bottle, take it home. That's crazy. And I started to just say, hey, take this back. I don't want it because I'm not going to pay you $1.08 for some sauce. Guy was pretty nice, understood, not his call, right? So I kept him. But also, and it's little things like that that will lead us to having no control over anything, right? Because we are the buyers. So if we say no, then they have to change. They have to do something different. Mike, I know when Mike and I went to lunch, and he had a two-piece chicken, not chicken fingers, and he wanted ranch dressing. And they told him, well, you can't get ranch dressing. You have to get tenders to get ranch. I'm like, what? So now you're telling me what kind of what, and it's small, right? But guess what that's going to lead to? Because if we keep buying it and accepting it, then it's going to lead to something bigger. And so that's what I mean by we need to start fighting about the little things or not buying into them. But the same way, reverse of that, those little things that they don't have to eat at us if we know who we are. You can still fight those things, but don't let them eat at your very core. Don't let them determine who you think you are or who you think you can become, right? Don't buy into those little things that racism brings forth to us. You know, if racism is before you, if you're being targeted, like I've gone to some stores that I absolutely love and I was targeted and I never went back. Never. I will never go back. Never. It was Casual Corner, one that I specifically remember. Loved, loved, loved that store. Never went back. They would never get another dime of mine, period. And so you have to hit people where it hurts. This country cannot make it without us, period. They cannot. But we don't have the oomph to say, I don't want this. Take cable, for instance. Look how high it has become. If we, everybody, if or just a few people called and said, turn it off, I don't want it. Why? It's too much. What do you think they will do? But we can't, we're not willing to endure going without it. So the little things can make you or they can break you. Choose your battles. Don't sweat the small stuff. Let people be a fool by themselves. Deal with them the right way. If you're targeted, let it be known. Don't go back and ask people not to go back. So, Brandon, that's how I see this. Like those very things that eat at our heart and then break us. If we change the trajectory of that, our focus onto the little things making us, building us, not tearing us down, because it can only tear you down if you allow it to continue. And most times, not continue in the physical, but in your heart, in your mind. If you buy into it, if you buy into it, then it can destroy. No matter how big you are, it can destroy you. It can destroy you. And I get it. I get it, you guys. But we have to have more fight in us. Over to you, Brandon.
Thanks, Mom. I appreciate that, and I agree with pretty much everything you said there. There are a couple things that I saw. Um, One is when you compare. I thought it was a beautiful comparison to compare Africans in America or African Americans with sequoia trees. I don't know if you all have ever seen a sequoia tree. My wife and I had the privilege to go to travel across the country in 2015, and then we did it. We just did it again maybe a month or two ago. But in 2015, uh, we went from Memphis all the way to the sequoia trees in Northern California, and I thought I knew what a big tree was, but I didn't know it was a building. I didn't know it looked like a skyscraper in Chicago. It is absolutely massive, and so I want us to really kind of review first the roots of the tree and just how I mean our own roots and how far we and the sequoia tree goes back. So, for example, it says it was a growing sapling when the master in caps walked the shores of Galilee. So, this is in reference to Jesus, with whom may God be pleased with him, um, over 2,000 years ago. And so, when I saw these trees, the same trees that he's speaking of, and I was like, that tree is 2,000 and something years old. 2,000. And it's still growing and green and beautiful and humongous. And so, and how resilient they are, because these trees have been through fires, they've been through floods, they've been through winter storms and ice and I mean it's everything that you can imagine coming from the elements. But that's why it's called a hardwood. Redwoods are a hardwood, and they grow very fast, and they keep growing and growing and growing. And to compare that to African Americans, I think is a good comparison due to all the elements that we face in America and in the colonized worlds, what I call the Western world, the world where people wear the suits and ties, instead of their traditional garments. Everyone looks like a Roman. Everyone looks like a European in the way that they dress. Has assimilated to the style of life, of consumerism and capitalism, and resource extraction. So the taking, and all of that was built on the backs of slavery. They didn't expect us to be here for a long time. They didn't expect for us to be a part of the fabric of America. So there were laws, there were black laws, laws just for black people. There were laws after emancipation, um, and the quote unquote freeing of slaves that particularly targeted African Americans. The penal system, the institution of police was all created in order to keep the black population subdued, controlled, um, and divided familially. We all know about the Willie Lynch letter. Interpersonally, in their various communities, the man, the woman, the light skin, the dark skin, the elder generation, the younger generation. So these are all these little elements that start to eat away at the social fabric of African Americans. That start to malign the culture. It starts to uh, uh, destroy the generational capacity. We talk about generational wealth, but wealth, again, remember, isn't being rich isn't just financial. Generational wealth can be your culture, it can be your etiquettes, it can be your customs, it can be your values, it can be your principles, it can be your coming of age ceremonies to show that a young man or a young woman or a young kid is now developing into a young man or a young woman. We don't have those anymore, by and large, in our culture, and it's from these little deletions, these little intrusions, these it's a war of attrition. It's that drop. And how do you? We were talking about this a while ago, Mom, a couple months ago, that you could get a frog, and many of you maybe heard this analogy. You could get a frog and place it inside of a very shallow pot full of water. It's an amphibian, so the water doesn't harm it inherently. But you turn it up a degree, turn it up a degree, turn it up a degree, and as that water heats up, the frog will just stay there. That water can start to boil, to be so hot that it's killing the frog, and the frog will not even move. Because as an amphibian, the frog cannot feel the incremental change in temperature. It could feel it if it was very quick and very drastic, but that incremental change in temperature, that as the pot heats up, the frog can't tell. So it ends up dying, ends up being boiled to death. And I think that has a lot of potential. That same analogy has a lot of potential for us if we do nothing about it. So what I suggest is, if it's all those little bitsy things that can tear you down, then it's also the
Mhm.
little bitsy things that can keep you fortified. They can keep you resilient. And if you can delete all the BS little things that are coming from you from the outside, and put yourself in a position where you don't pick it up or put it down, or you keep yourself away from those places, because you're free to move about the land of the whole earth, really. Then I think we can start to even build ourselves even more, right? And not just stay at a net zero where, there's a little thing bad happens and we do a little thing good. So, and that's what culture is for, right? When you have culture, that's the safety net. Once you have values, that's the safety net. Once you have, and that's why people, choose faith and religion and things like that. Not just, yes, of course, there's the point of us worshiping our God, our Creator. But there are also benefits that come to us just intrinsically, just the way that our families are raised. Having two-parent households, and now studies show that, of course, that has better outcomes for children, for longevity of life of even the parents. Right? You live longer when you have a family. So there's all these little things, whereas the world tells you, no, it's all about you. It's all about the individual. Well, when you separate the individual from the flock, it's easier to be consumed, to be pursued by wolves, by predators. So everybody wants to go and have their own job, and they eat. They don't even eat at the table anymore. Everyone takes their food back to their room. This is separatism. This is
Their own
individual
house. Their
in
own house.
their own house. I
You
mean, you
know.
see, and that's why we'll talk about immigrants when they come over, right? We'll say, look at all of them packed into that one car like rats, but they probably going to get a job and getting racks. You know, all those people packed into that house, right? Come back 10 years, they'll all have a house and a spouse, all having families. The
And
family,
money.
yeah. So the way, because that's their culture, that's their value, that's their etiquette. They're not, because if they're fresh from their country, from the place where it was pure, and they're holding on to that, and they have enough lineage and enough intergenerational relationships to where it's not only passed on, but they're held to account. You better not, come looking any kind of way to the elder in their family. I'll hear these second generation immigrants say, "Oh, no, no, I can't do what the Americans do. I gotta my family." I'm like, "You're 30 years old. What do you mean?" "Oh, no, no, no. My family wouldn't like that." Whereas us, we like, "Shh, I'm grown. I don't care what they say." You know what I mean? Like, it's very arrogant, and these things, we're taking on the culture. Be careful. I'm saying we are. Be careful not to take on the culture that oppresses you, that
Hmm.
disenfranchises you.
And
Don't
to
be.
seek those things of it, Brandon, like the things, I remember Jimmy saying, we can't, meaning black people can't live apart. So they can't live together. They can, but they choose be, and that's what I think you mean by buying into the culture
Yeah.
of another, like the things that oppress you.
Right.
And imagine that we can't live apart, meaning we can't get along we live in separate houses and we still fight each other.
Remember what happened in COVID when everybody had to stay home?
Yeah, they realized just how much they didn't like the people that they had chose to do life with.
Right. Or didn't know,
Didn't know them.
because when they met each other, they were working their butts off,
Hmm.
you know, buying, not just buying in, but putting skin in the game of 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 America. And I don't just mean America as in Americans. I mean the 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 predication that of America, that in order for America to be great, it has to be predicated on the backs of other people, of the exploitation of other people, whether it be the Native Americans, whether it be African Americans. And as African Americans, you know what? We should see the plight in other oppressed people. I personally dislike, and I think there's a side of the Black liberation movement that is catabolic, or is destructive of our own self. And it's the one where we say, only us. It's only about us and our oppression, and we aren't able to see that same trend in other people. I think once, it's the little things, right? If everyone's divided and conquered, if we all came together, whether you're black, white, whatever, maintaining our cultures is a beautiful thing. God made us into different cultures so that we would have an incentive to come to know one another, right? To get to know one another. But imagine if you see the indigenous people whose lands were being taken in Mexico, or Guatemala, they wouldn't have to immigrate here, right? They have the same enemy as the African American, right? Or the Palestinian, right? Who with the Zionists, people that were um, oppressed in Germany during World War II and put into concentration camps. A group of them became Zionists and then decided to go take other people's land, kick them out, put them in concentration camps. Can you believe it? That the same people that said never again are the ones doing it again to a different people, using the platform of their grandparents' oppression or their parents' oppression as reason to oppress others. And that a state is built on the predication of the displacement and disenfranchisement of another people. So unless we see those lines of connection, we further our oppression, not just our oppression, but their oppression and their oppression. There's a common enemy of white supremacy in the Western world in general. How much we buy into it, how much we give into it, how much we believe in those systems of governance, two-party systems. The same, then we're who said it? It was there's a line from Stevie Wonder where he says, "You only," he said, I live." The line goes, "I live in the ghetto," and basically politicians only come around, every 4 years, right? That's the only time they come around. Only time I see you is every 4 years. So they appease us, but they go with same, the exact same lesson, the exact same plan, the exact same domestic policy, the exact same foreign policy. Two wings, same bird. They just pander to different people. You know what I mean? But we are furthering that same system by feeding that beast. So man feeds the beast, but the beast feeds on man. So why do we keep feeding it? How are we feeding into it and giving it our little things? We're giving it a little bit of ourselves, a little bit of our time, a little bit of our money, and we're adding to the momentum of this beast that eats us, right? So what I think we should do is have other little things that we do to purify ourselves. This is where, for me, religion comes in. Faith without works is dead. I know a lot of people who got a whole lot of faith and a whole little bitsy works, right? They say, I believe, and have no works. They go to work, but what works do they do? Is it their intention to go out and be not just a person in the space and being good? Being good isn't just doing nothing. That's not being good. People are like, I'm a good person. Like, you don't do nothing. What do you mean you're a good person? You're just a person. Don't waste the space, right? Don't just be a piece of flesh walking around here aimlessly, not giving a damn. You know what I mean? So be something. Be a positive. That's what makes you a good person. Be charitable. You know, serve the less fortunate. Raise good individuals and children to be pillars of morality and ethics. Plant trees. You know what I mean? Do something that makes the world a better place. Your existence in itself doesn't do that. Right? So that's for me where things come in, my prayer, my charity, the ethics, principles, and values, doing good deeds. What do you do for yourself religiously? Because trust me, God does not need your prayers. You don't benefit God at all. You can pray you can pray from the time you're born to the time you die. You have not benefited God one bit. That's for you. That's for you. You reading this book don't benefit me. It benefits you. So what we're doing here is an example of what I believe the solution is. Doing something every single day. We're reading this book every single day to motivate and encourage one another towards success. Right? And for me, it's helped with the headwinds of life. It's helped with the friction when the rubber meets the road. It helps cool the heat of all the little bitsy things that come my way, whether it be, racism or whatever it is, I've experienced, Mom, we've experienced it, and we're on the lighter spectrum of African American, but still comes. So I understand even the privilege in that and how that sets me up against my brother who's a little darker than me. So why would I buy into that? literally purchasing into it. Why would I buy that house just to look better than my brother?
And to think you're better because you buy the house.
Right? Is that like
Right.
that's our motivation? Like that's where we at?
And
Y'all,
see, the
y'all know
little
why
bits of things get you to that point where you feel like you have to find the value, and you find value in yourself by purchasing things, being of a certain economic status, and things like that. Where on the flip side, the people you are trying to impress, or maybe you're trying to impress yourself or make yourself think that you are better than your brother behind you, right? Or next to you,
Mhm.
because you now have the lifestyle of what you think is the lifestyle of a Caucasian person, right? So it's the little bitty things. How do you let them eat at you? It says, then a few years ago, a tiny beetle started to burrow into its bark and lay the eggs that would produce other beetles. So what is embedded in you? What are you allowing to simmer in your bark, right? And
Mm.
then lay more eggs to make you think, oh, I have to I have to buy the Tesla, um,
Hmm.
and then I'm something, right?
Yeah.
Or I have to go get this 5, 6 bedroom house and it's just me, right? Or just
Can I speak to
me and
that?
my child, right? And
Mhm.
imagine what that sets you up for. But you have to question yourself, why do you do it?
Mm.
What has eaten at you? What things have you, little things that you have allowed to lay upon your heart, upon you? And then the eggs, more start to come. And before you know it, you are nothing unless you have the $1,000 red bottom shoes. You are nothing unless you have all these things, but yet you feel the little bitty things eat at you every day, which is why you keep trying to get more stuff to correct what you feel inside, which is you feel like nothing because the little bitty things have eaten at you, they've laid eggs, and they continue to do so. Frederick Douglass said, you can have my body, but you will never have my mind. What I think is in my control. What I will become is in my control. And
So
if you take inventory of your life and what you do you just get up, go to work, come home, and you do the same thing over and again, fighting for nothing, growing not.
no intention anywhere.
Right, right,
Amen.
right. Are you spiritually growing? You know, we should never just be the same year after year after year. We should
You know what I
never.
think?
What's that?
Um, BDS, boycott, um, what do you call it? BDS and sanction. What it's BDS? Forget the name of it. BDS is boycott. I can't think of the D right now for some reason. Um, it'll come to me. But anyway, what that
Devisement,
is,
boycott, devisement,
divestment, divestment,
sanctions,
divestment, a boycott, divestment, and
sanctions.
sanction. And so, what's a boycott? That's what started the civil rights movement, the bus boycott, right? Divestment, divesting from institutions that don't serve us equitably, not just equally, equitably, right? And sanctions is more on a foreign policy level, but how do we do that? Here sanctions saying like, no, you, we're not just divesting from you. We aren't. It's not cool to rock with you anymore. You can't even come into this space. Certain companies can't get a vendor's table at this cookout. You see what I'm saying? You've been sanctioned. So as a people, why we should sanction red bottom shoes? They don't serve us. Or divest. Divest from Nike. What do those Jordans do for us? But push, and then look at it this way. We talked about, let's use Nike or Tesla or Apple phones, of which I have right here. Nike, those shoes that you got cost maybe $6. Paid some poor person in a sweatshop a couple cents. They can't even get up if they're pregnant to go use the restroom in these sweatshops. Do y'all know about that? Pregnant women can't get up to go use the restroom. You know how many times you got to pee as a pregnant woman? I saw my wife go through it twice. But that's what went into your shoes. That's the energy on your shoes. I wouldn't want that energy cooking my food and you rocking it on your feet. Let's take the car, Tesla, the lithium batteries that are inside of that. There's 15,000. I'm sorry, they have 40,000 people inside of mines in one mine. And there's hundreds of mines. And these are children, not just people, children, because they can fit into the little cracks. It's hot. This is Africa. Kids are dying by the dozens in these mines just for a little piece of metal, the little shiny things, little bitsy things, right? And that's what goes into that car to be able to charge it, right? So everything, they say blood diamonds, there's blood cars, there's blood, EV. That Apple iPhone, isn't it coincidental? And I'm gonna get a back for this, but look at the back of this phone. Y'all see that? Y'all see that apple with the bite in it? What does that represent? What does that represent? And look at me, we just fools. Eve and Adam ate from the tree, Sequoia, Galilee. It all comes back full circle. The tree of knowledge of good and evil. And we sit, myself included, rocking the phone, the symbol of doing what thou wilt, right? So all of these things, and the phones have coltan in them. So one of the things that we can do as far as divesting and things like that, you might have a plan, a family plan like we have, where you got to get certain types of phones, but guess what? You don't have to get a brand new one every 2 years. I busted my phone the last couple of days ago. Get a refurbished phone. Specifically request that you get a refurbished phone where they don't have to go dig any more minerals up and use any more labor from these children. So if you know that these are happening, I'm speaking to myself first. If you know these things are happening, if you know that you're buying into a system that further oppresses other people to keep that system going, and you're not willing to give up one of those unwarranted privileges that you have, because you got that privilege based on the exploitation of someone else. If you're not willing to do that, then you're not willing to grow. You're not ready for change. You're not even ready to be the lead of your own life, because you're still led and worshiping your desires. And we all do to a degree, but it's those little things. It's the phone, it's the cars, it's the want for more, and the comparison of who has less, and the ostracization of ostracizing of those people. So it's the little things. Are you doing something to build your character, to build your heart, to build your mind, to build your spirit, to build your community? What are you leaving on this earth? Right? And that's not all bricks. You can't take those with you. So that's all I have. I think that's a very kind of comprehensive view of this outlook. But there are 2,000-year-old trees that are being brought down by beetles, y'all. And you know the interesting thing about that beetle, Mom? I'm gonna just say
What,
like
Brandon?
the interesting thing about that beetle ain't from America. There's things called invasive species. You got like Japanese beetles I got them because we planted squash and cucumbers and tomatoes and things like that, and they will eat and ravage your plants. They were brought here through globalization from other countries. That's why, like our cousin Davia, who works at USDA, how he started out doing, when people would come through bringing fruit and vegetables, they check it for bugs and different things, because those bugs come here and might, have more babies because this environment fits them better, and the rest of the environment doesn't have resistances against them. So now all these 2,000 and 3,000-year-old trees can get eaten away because the trees have no resistance to that, right? And we did that. So humans have the ability to destroy or build. We have the ability to be caretakers and stewards of this land, or the ability to be the worst cancer that this earth has ever seen. You have all of that human potential. Which beast are you feeding? Are you feeding the beast that that's good? Or are you feeding the beast that's bad? What are you doing every day? What are the little things that you're doing every day to keep yourself focused and on the straight path to your success, your true success, right? Which is more than finances, more than riches. Think about that today as we go about our way. That's all I got.
All right, I'm going to read some of the comments that we have here. Let's see. So Mike is going deeper into about the KFC that they wanted him to pay for the ranch because ranch only, in their opinion, ranch only goes with chicken fingers, and he had the bone-in chicken, so he could not have ranch. And y'all see, imagine that. Just imagine that. And you know what? I think I need to write KFC about that. Like, you're gonna
But,
tell me what I want, what goes with the chicken that I bought. I can't pick the
right?
sauce I want. That's
Why y'all
crazy.
going to KFC? That's crazy. Then when y'all first said we was at KFC, I was like, what the hell? Why? For what?
Man, the one in Bartlett is so good though.
Man,
Every now and then. Don't
poison
go
in
a
the
lot.
cookies, man. Poison in the
Huh?
cookies. Also, it says
Yeah,
poison in the cookies.
yeah,
If
yeah.
we
We
know it's
don't.
poison, why the heck we eating it? You know it's poison. It's
KFC
it's
is
a lie.
poison?
Yes.
Oh wow.
Look, I mean, I'm
We
done.
don't go often. We were just
I'm
hanging out.
done.
And plus, hey, it was $4.99, two piece for $4.99. So
Hey,
we didn't pay that much for the poison.
hey, it's cool. It's
But
cool.
no, I get it. I get it. And
Two piece
again,
cancer.
don't go there often. But anyway, it's just those are little things that add up to that will add up to big things. Like you'll have to go in there. You'll go in there pretty soon, and you'll have to pay for the bag. If you want a bag, you have to pay for the bag, right?
That's how it is
To
in
put your,
California. You know that, right?
huh?
You know that's how it is in California.
What?
If you go to the grocery store or wherever, you pay for the plastic bag.
Oh wow.
Yeah, no, that's real. I just got back from Cali. It's very much like that. Everywhere you gotta put in 50 cents to go use the bathroom, the restroom, because water
Wow.
shortages. You have to pay for the bag at the checkout. They say, "Do you want bags?" Okay, and every bag is a couple cents. I think it's like 5, 10 cents or something like
And that's what I mean. Like it's the little things that we take, and over time they say, oh, they're gonna accept that. Let's do this then, right? And so
that.
you're
Right.
putting money back into someone's pocket that don't give a damn about you or your family, right? So sometimes we just have to say no, but we're not willing to suffer, if that's what
Exactly.
we'll call it, through going without. I don't have cable. I haven't in a very long time. And I refuse to pay for something that shows me nothing that I want to see. And then it's so expensive. And then you control, I pay for it, but you tell me what to watch, right? That's crazy. But imagine if enough people, like I said, you know what? Let's all do away with cable. Let's hang out a bit more. Let's talk, communicate a bit more. What would happen? Would they lower the price? Absolutely. Absolutely. They would. And everything else. So, what are the little bitty things that you buy into every day? They've embedded in your bark, your heart. Do you guard your heart? Do you make those little bitty things about building you rather than tearing you down? So I'll read the comments and we'll get out of here, Brandon. Let's see. Mike says it was a principle, so I didn't buy the ranch. And wonder what would have happened if we said, I tell you what, just take your chicken back too. You know, if enough people, if I can't have the sauce that I want with the chicken that I paid for, then take the chicken back. And now the KL said that ranch would have stayed right there, and it did. We didn't buy it. Um, let's see. Looking forward. It was a comment that I saw Nell that KL put on here that I want to read to Brandon. Um, Angela Campbell says, good morning, cuz. How you doing?
Okay.
Thank you for
How you
rocking
doing?
with us again. Mike says, if you pay taxes, you're feeding it. Oh, it goes. I get it. It goes. I'm telling you, the taxes are at the top. It's those little things. I'm telling you.
Yep.
Um, KL says, for you, Brandon, for a Muslim brother, you've got a lot of Christian knowledge.
It's you know what's interesting is that it's the same knowledge. You know, in regards to that, like in the Quran is Abraham, as Moses. Moses is the most talked about prophet in there. The name Jesus is in the Quran 4 times as much as the name Muhammad. 4 times as much. Mary, his mother, Zechariah, the father of Yahya or John the Baptist. John the Baptist is in there. Lot, Sodom and Gomorrah. It's the same stories. Muslims believe, the coming of the coming of the Antichrist and the returning of Jesus. They believe Jesus is the Messiah. So there's a lot of. I think it's not the fact that I have a lot of Christian knowledge. I think it's just that knowledge has been kept from a lot of my Christian brothers and sisters. Um, Unfortunately, but I do appreciate that. But it's all the same. It's all the
Brandon,
same God.
you
Hmm.
know what? You know what's really interesting though about that statement. I find that Muslim brothers and sisters, they will read the Bible. They're not afraid to read the Bible, whereas other religions won't even try to understand the Muslim faith.
You know
Like they
why?
don't like, and so when we did the journaling through the scripture, I was amazed of how again. I remember the lady that said her family was feeling some kind of way about her being a Muslim, and then they at least
The
they
young white
started
woman.
studying that, right. They didn't realize that Jesus was even in the Quran, right? They didn't even, and when they found out, if you would just take the time and you think about how many faiths there are in Christianity, you got your Baptist, you got your all these
Episcopal, Methodist, Unitarian,
yeah,
uh,
yeah,
Catholic.
but right, and then they will fight amongst each other. What is it, the ones that think that women should not oh, what's that faith?
Church of Christ? No.
Church of Christ. No,
Mhm.
yeah, maybe that's it. But there's so many different things, right? And so these little things too, it's a big thing, but these little things again just separate us. But if you would, and that's the one thing I found beauty in, one of the things when we were doing journaling through the scripture is that Muslims will read the Bible. They, as a matter of fact, they probably know the Bible more than a Christian person.
We're supposed to read, like it says that like so a Muslim man can marry a Muslim woman. He can marry a Christian woman, and he can marry a Jewish woman or a group of people called Sabians. Basically, people that were told to be monotheistic. Muslims don't believe that all Christians are monotheistic, though. That is a difference, like because you know in the worshiping of Jesus as opposed to worshiping of what Christians consider the Father, right? The one God. Um, so there's Christians that believe, like you said, Jesus is the equivalent of God, and then there's Christians that believe that Jesus is a prophet or just the Messiah, or So there's so much um, I guess, disagreement or alternatives,
Within the
a
Christian
way of
faith.
living
Yeah.
things within the Christian faith. I mean, there are denominations on denominations on denominations. One book is different from the other. One thing I like about the Quran is that there's only one Quran. There's no different versions of it. There's never been a different version of it. Um, and so I appreciated that. And Muslims are told that Jesus was given the Gospels, which is a big difference than the Gospels were written about him. You know, Jesus was actually given, in the Muslim tradition, Jesus was actually given a book from God, given a word from God to say, right? And we believe that it's the truth of it, the in its pure form has been lost. But the revelation that came to Jesus was pure. And there's remnants. We believe that there's remnants of it that are found in the Bible. And like the book and I know we're getting past things, but like the book of Psalms, um, is one of the books that hasn't been tampered with that much. You know, there is here and there on the translations, but the Muslim scholarly tradition is unlike any religious scholarship that I've ever seen. And if people think that I have a lot of knowledge, I promise you, I'm like this compared to some of these people that have dedicated their whole lives from childhood that are my age to studying God and all His forms, specifically in Islam. So I say we should study. That's a little thing, you know. But man, I appreciate that compliment. It's that I always feel a little bit of survivor's guilt in that, because I want everybody to know the commonality within these faiths, you know, or that Jesus and Muhammad were cousins, you know, they were cousins of each other. So these people are the same family, much like all of humanity is of the same family. So, thank you for that compliment. I'm like, man, I wish we all did that. So I invite y'all, go get a Quran. If you want one, I will send it to you for free. I got a bunch of them. You will find that
Brandon,
it's similar.
they have something going on. I won't be here. I'll be out of town. But I was trying to find it. They have another like event where they want people to come out and learn about Jesus at the mosque.
Oh yeah,
Have you,
oh
did,
yeah.
yeah, it's coming up. I think it's the 23rd,
Mm,
22nd or the 23rd of
like,
this month. And I'm telling you guys, that was doing journaling through the scripture at the mosque was one of the best things that I ever could have did. I'm serious. I learned so much more about Jesus. It answered questions for me that I didn't know that I had about Jesus. And I remember, we're gonna get off of here. I remember when I was doing Bible study at my house, and I've mentioned this, you guys. I had a group of people, Christian people, and one night they discovered that they not all of them thought that Jesus was God, right? And when I tell you, it was, I had to put them out. I want to say a word. I had to put them out the house. Like, they under the same faith, but some of them thought Jesus and God were the same. And some of them thought no, that they weren't. That Jesus and God are totally different. And then I remember when I'm working with the young girls, and I bought them these Bibles called the Remix, and I gave them the Bibles, right? And I'm reading through the Remix, and I'm like, this ain't what the word says. This is crazy. And so I had to get the Bibles back, right? So y'all, it's this, the little bitty things are bigger than what you think. They're the things that you think are okay, that you've accepted, right? So I'll find the the flyer that they sent me, because if you're here, I suggest you go
yeah, people are
learn
so
more.
afraid. You know, we've been taught by the same systems to not um, even consider the faith of other people or to learn about it even. You know how pissed off people would probably be if people learned about Islam as a world religion. There's out of 8 billion people, there's like over 2.2 billion people in the world. That's 25% of the world's population is Muslim. It should be taught um, in schools the same way that we learn about Buddhism or learn about Christianity or anything like that. But they're keeping visors on us, and I wonder why. I wonder why there's a concerted effort against Muslims from the European and Western countries.
Yet
It's
they
something to
sit back
really
and let
wonder about.
prayer come out of schools. Sit back and do nothing. Can't even pray in school anymore because Christians don't want to fight for it, right? So
Yeah,
come on.
I don't. Yeah, you know, there's some in certain places they're starting to consider like Christianity, unfortunately, a dying religion because the churches are empty, especially in Europe. All the churches are empty. If you go to Europe and you find a full church, it must be a holiday. Isn't that interesting?
Hmm.
They're empty, completely empty, because everything's so secular. Um, and people aren't learning this knowledge. They're more taking on ideologies without studying. Or if you ask, I remember asking pastors when I was in my youth questions about certain things in the Bible. They say, "Well, you just have to have faith." You just have to have faith in what you told me, you know? So you can't just put the blinders over and say that just because someone said so, that this is the way it is. God has given you the ability to be discerned, the ability to critically think. Um, but figure out what those little things are for you, y'all. I ain't about to sit here and start preaching it. But mom, you got anything else? I
No,
got
no,
nothing
I'm
else. I
good. I
appreciate
need to
y'all.
go.
If anybody has any questions for me, like personally, um, I've been a little bit spotty of late with my phone, but I ought to give y'all my email. I would give it out, but I don't get flooded. But y'all hit me up. I'll give you my email or just text me. I usually respond better with text than call, and I'd love to continue the conversation. Cool.
All right, let's get out of here,
All
Brandon.
right, y'all. Well, it's 8:01. We've been here for a full hour. That's what we be doing on the weekends, man. I thought we were gonna be here for 30 minutes, but you know
Me
how it
too.
goes. You need some sleep. Y'all, this June 8th, our title was Little Bitsy Things. And the quote from a distinguished African American came from John Singleton, the movie producer and director, who said, "Hell, it's not just slavery. It's being harassed by the police and the racial slurs. It's a whole bunch of little things." And after a passage about sequoia trees and little bitsy bugs going in and the war of attrition to where the tree finally came down from these little bitty beetles, this big tree that's been around 2,000 years succumbs to um, beetles, little bitsy things. We came to an affirmation that we read 3 times, one for me, one for you, and one for the person you're going to send this to and invite to the barbecue. It's today, I won't get mad or even. I'll keep my head up and get better.
Mm.
Today, I won't get mad or get even. I'll keep my head up and get better. And last time, you can read it out loud. It's at the bottom of your screen. Today, I won't get mad or even. I'll keep my head up and get better. Go out there,
Get
keep your head up, like Pac said, and get better. Do better. We all need to do better, myself included. All right, y'all. Y'all take care. Mom, anything from you?
Nope, all good.
Y'all go out there and be great. Take care. We'll see you tomorrow. Same time, same place on the End This Season podcast.